Hi, my name is Jana Larson, and I'll be reading a short excerpt from my book, Real Bay, a Cinematic Essay, starting on page 19. Bismarck, North Dakota is a 6-hour drive from Minneapolis, but it takes about 10 hours by bus. You sit toward the back, next to an old man who sleeps with his mouth hanging open, and an older woman with a red checkered shirt and dyed black hair in curlers. She reads a coupon circular like it's a novel. Just in front of you, 3 Amish brothers talk among themselves in a thick Germanic language. You eavesdrop and try to figure out what they're saying. It sounds biblical at first, but occasionally they say things in English like solid oak door, and you second-guess that theory. You settle in, take out your video camera, and start to film the landscape going by outside the window. You try to imagine you are Takako, that you've watched the movie Fargo, believe it's a true story, believe there's a suitcase full of money buried somewhere on this road, and believe you can find it. Fargo is a black comedy by Joel and Ethan Coen. It tells the story of a car salesman named Jerry Lundegaard, who hires 2 thugs to kidnap his wife so he can buy a parking lot with the ransom money from his rich father-in-law. It's a harebrained scheme that goes wrong in every way. Most pertinently for Takako's story, one of the hired kidnappers, played by Steve Buscemi, buries a suitcase containing nearly $1 million in a snowbank on the side of a road, and then he winds up dead. That wouldn't mean much if the Coen brothers hadn't claimed that Fargo was a true story. Quote, "At the request of the survivors, the names have been changed. Out of respect for the dead, the rest has been told exactly as it occurred." After the film came out, in interviews and publicity, the Coen brothers maintained that the film was definitely true, all true. They managed to create a fair amount of confusion with their claims. An article published in the Brainerd Dispatch on February 11, 1997, reports that both the Brainerd Police Department and the newspaper received multiple phone calls and letters after Fargo came out, asking for more information about the case. Even the cast of the movie was led to believe Fargo was a true story. William H. Macy, upon learning that the events of the film weren't actually true, said, "What? You can't do that." So, if Takako watched Fargo and thought it was based on fact, she wasn't the only one. It would have made sense for her to take the geography represented in the movie at face value and to think the ransom money was still buried out there somewhere. Fargo takes place primarily in Minnesota, near the towns of Brainerd and Minneapolis, with an opening scene in Fargo, North Dakota, and a final scene in Bismarck. The bus you're on, the one Takako would have taken, goes from Minneapolis to Brainerd to Fargo on its way to Bismarck. It's almost like a tour of the movie locations. You settle back expecting to see the landscapes from the film, endless, flat, white, empty. But that's not what happens as the bus pulls out of Minneapolis. Instead, traveling northwest on the highway, you pass car dealerships, shopping malls, billboards, and housing developments. You set your camera down and lean your head against the glass, watching the moisture from your breath condense and freeze into an oblong circular patch. It will be several hours before you get to Brainerd.